Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Devin Marr, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
And so today we do not have Kevin. He's not joining us right now, but we do have back Gaston.
I'm like twice the Taudark he ever was.
So, with you being on, we figured that, I guess the conversation came up between you and Kevin earlier this week about competitive play. So, Herman, you kind of want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so this actually came out of the comments on your all's last podcast, where I guess I could pull up. One of the commenters had said, you know, if you're not here to be competitively mind-centered, then Warmachine's not the game for you. And then me and Taudark had already been like arguing and fussing at each other already, like the grumpy old ladies we are. So he sent me a screenshot of this and was like, discuss. And so my immediate response was to say, define competitive. And that's where we landed today.
So, what would you define as competitive, I guess?
I mean, to me, it's a much broader mindset than people like to think, because everyone's like, oh, you just take, you know, whatever's on Discount Games Inc. Thank God for those people after the forums died for posting those lists, and you just take that and you just roll that and you're good to go. And to me, that's not nearly encompassing the scope of what is actually competitive. I mean, competitive is, you know, when you design a list, you design it to be, you know, let's say I'm going to take, you know, who's a bad ret? Raven. I'm going to take Raven. Raven's probably one of the lowest power ranked retcasters there. But I'm going to design the most badass Raven list I can do, and I'm going to fuck you with it. That's still competitive play, even though I'm not using Assyria.
Okay.
Now, would you say that in order to be competitive, that you need to participate in the larger meta? I mean, would you say that when you're thinking about competitive play, is it more or less like, are you being competitive in your local meta? Are you being competitive in your larger meta, the national meta, conventional meta? You know, it's, I think when it comes to defining what is competitive, you need to further, you know, think about which part of, you know, the competition you're looking at.
Well, here's an ugly truth for you. The national meta does not matter to like 99% of the people who play this game. Because, like, let's say, you know, I'm going out to a convention. I will play, you know, my 4 games of Iron Gauntlet. And, you know, the time I was able, had the time and life to go to conventions, that accounted for freaking 8 games out of my year. So the rest of the year I was just playing with my local meta. And that's what actually matters. And so getting all wrapped up and obsessed in the national meta and what they're playing, it doesn't matter because that's not how you're playing. That's not how the vast majority of your games are going to be done.
So I disagree with that. And the reason why, I think because of the age of internet and computers and where we are right now, and especially with social media, I feel like your local scene reflects a lot of the national meta because people see what the national meta is doing, and then they are playing that at the local level. So they might not be playing it as the same caliber as up there, but they're playing against those exact same lists.
Well, and that's where it starts getting into kind of the cracks and the details and everything. What I'm not saying is stick your head in the sand and be an idiot. What I am saying is that chasing after the national meta is not the right way to go, even if you want to be competitive. Like, let's say I go to a local tournament and I feel like taking Ossian in Shadows of Retribution. Shadows of Retribution is not considered a national meta competitive theme force, and Ossian has dropped off ever since he got nerfed back to his Mark II standard where he was totally fine, which is the weirdest reaction ever. So neither one of those are like meta things, but Ossian has Shatterstorm, and that theme has removed from play, and I can play into Ghost Fleet. I'm not ignoring things, but I'm not letting what's considered the Peak and the Brim and Assyria and Piviros and all that drive my competitive list choices.
Okay. Which, and I get that point. I think it's just, I just want to make sure you know that when we talked about it, it's like, yeah, it doesn't apply to 99% if you're not playing in it all the time, but it does not taint, but it does shape the local metas. That's true. Like, you can go and play something that, like, it's a big thing that, like, Siege is not something that's very popular right now. Well, I plan on, whenever I finally start playing again, playing Signar specifically, I really want to get back into playing a lot of Siege. Just because he is my favorite caster, which, side note, Colonel Siege is coming out. Yeah!
What's a Colonel Siege?
It's Colonel
Is it
Siege.
like fried chicken?
It's like Colonel Sanders, only Colonel Siege. It's
Is
as
he,
much needed
He retired
upgrade.
from the military and opened a fried gobber shop?
I just want him to have a big-ass cigar in his mouth now. Him and Finn are going to be best friends.
Who?
Finn. He's, like, a famous trencher in the game.
I think I
The guy
accidentally killed
with
him
the
once in a game.
The machine gun.
Yeah, the one with the machine gun.
Oh, yeah, I accidentally killed him once. I remember now.
Rude.
I crushed him like the cockroach he was.
That's awful.
They're trenchers. They're not people.
They're super elite people now, okay?
You know what their motto is?
Don't die.
First we dig them, then we die in them.
That might be it.
It's nice. It helps me out a lot because they bring their own grave sites. I don't
That's
have to
true.
clean up after.
It's very eco-friendly, not eco-friendly.
No,
It's very
Crix is
considerate.
eco-friendly.
Anyway, sorry. So now that side rant's done. So going back to it. Yeah, so I do think that looking at a competitive scene, I mean, I think in reality, like, there are casual players. But whenever I think of casual players, I think the ones that go and do, like, leagues and stuff like that. I feel like if you're going to a tournament at all, you are playing competitive, whether or not you are saying you're not. You saying you are or not. You're going to a tournament for the sole purpose, playing against other people and trying to beat them. So
Isn't that the whole game, though?
that is the whole game. I feel like unless if you're playing through a story or, playing through a league, but even so, even in a league, I think that's the whole nature of the game is you're playing to beat somebody. Yes, you want to have fun, and I think you can have fun and still be competitive, but I don't think those two are mutually exclusive. But I guess I would think that, all games in some aspect are competitive.
I think naturally the game is based on going against somebody and beating them. I mean, that's the nature of the game itself.
Right, and I'm probably the wrong person to talk to about leagues because I haven't participated in one of those for like 6 years.
Go on, speak a
Something
little bit
like
louder.
I don't like leagues.
That did not help at all.
That did not help. Do you need me to shout that I don't like leagues?
Okay, it's better now.
You sound fine on my side, so.
No, it's a valid sound finding point because leagues suck.
I think
I personally, I can get out like once a week to play a game, and playing in a league is a waste of my time.
So why would you feel playing a league is a waste of your time? You're still playing your same list.
Well, 9 times out of 10 you're not. Because you have what the hell is it going on right now? The Holden one. And they had the one that's actually like kind of creative where they had the Crew of Croak and all the little mini units.
That was
and
cool.
they changed. Yeah, that was a cool one. They should bring those back in the regular game. But the thing is the reason why I like this game is because it is broad enough where I can assemble different combinations into different lists and dojo that way. I enjoy the dojo aspect of this game more than I would say enjoy the dojo aspect of Guild Ball. Because I feel like the Guild Ball, the game is broad and that you have a bunch of different teams, but the game is not deep in that you only have so many choices per team. That was incredibly sexy. So the dojo is a huge part of that to me, and even within the theme force and all that, I'm kind of always recombining things and searching out new combos, and having the theme structure I don't feel like actually stops that. I don't understand that complaint either. But when you start taking all that time and interest I have there, and I have to change it for my once a week game for a league, then it doesn't reward me for the parts of the game that I enjoy and the reason why I enjoy playing the game.
Okay.
So which is probably that puts me back in that competitive group. And the thing is that, at least my personal philosophy is that when I invest into a faction, I am investing into the faction. I am not, there's some guy way back in the day in Mark II. He's like, I don't play Protectorate, I play Krios. I'm like, well, then you're very sad and shallow.
That's hurtful.
Because there's only 3 of those, and you've got freaking 12 other casters you can dig into. So I do not condemn at all going to DGI, copying a list, and doing that. I do that all the damn time because I don't have the time to, I'm still learning Retribution. I don't necessarily have the time and the experience yet to build my own lists that are good. And it's great to go, you grab those ideas, and you take those ideas off of those tournament lists and you make them your own. But there is no limitation to why you can't explore every single part of your faction and why you cannot do that competitively. Like, I've been playing Minions since 2010, so I've got a lot of time in there. Mm-hmm. And in the last 3 months, I have played 8 out of 10 of those casters competitively. And the only reason I haven't done the other 2 is basically time. It turns out I don't have enough time to cycle through them all.
Well, that's a shame on you, Herman. You really need to get on that shit. Me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so busy adulting and being awesome.
God, rude.
Actually, skipped game night this week because it was gym night.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I need to become neighbors with one of you guys so I can just go over on off nights.
You can, hey man, you can always move up here. I don't mind it.
I'm not moving up there.
Come on.
You live in a godforsaken, blasted, post-apocalypse wasteland.
Yeah, dude, it's right next to Baltimore, though.
That's what I said.
Yeah, there's an office up here. It's fine.
I'd have a lot of work. But, I mean, that's my point. It's just because you want to play competitively does not mean that you should limit yourself. And that's kind of what I'm getting to, is you can still play a broad selection of models and a broad selection of themes. Like, it's easy to pick on Protectorate because I've been dojoing them a lot recently. I've got no problems with the Exemplar theme. I've got no problems with the Temple Flameguard theme, whatever the hell that one's called. So, just, be open. Just play things.
Devin, what are your thoughts on it, man? Oh, it's the silence.
Those are some deep thoughts.
Those are super deep thoughts. It's so deep. He's just really into himself thinking about it.
He's either playing with his child or he has his microphone on mute.
That's true.
That'd be great if he's been sharing.
And he might have hit that loopy stage again. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. I got 5 teeth.
He's on a lot of medication right now.
Oh man, I agree with you. I mean, I guess for me, when I'm looking back at Signar, it's I'm kind of pushing myself away from the Haleys. I love Haley 3. I thought Haley 3 was an amazing model. Really enjoyed her, but I kind of want to start exploring a lot of the other options. Like when Maddox first came out, I absolutely fell in love with Maddox. I love Siege, like I said before. I'm really excited to kind of explore him again. And there's a couple of other caches I'm looking at. I'd like to try to explore them a little bit more and play them in a competitive sense. Because in my mind, it's kind of everyone's kind of, when you think of Signar, everyone's going to be looking at, okay, Haley, this and this, this is the list for Haley. We're going to look at heavy metal. Let's deal with that. I kind of want to explore different options, which kind of gets me excited about these theme forces a little bit. Like the new Trench theme force coming out, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with them because I feel like it could be a hell of a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm excited for the new Trench theme force in that I can take a break from CID for a little while.
Yeah.
That kind of dominated last month, trying to fix the battle engines.
Yeah.
And I didn't get nearly enough games in that. But the one thing that I am not a fan of is actually was it called Bunker House or...
Are you talking about
whatever it is?
The new Seed?
120.
Yeah, the new 120?
Yeah, the structure.
So why are you not excited about that?
Because I want the game to go in a direction that encourages more movement, not less movement.
Okay.
And plopping 120 millimeter base down that doesn't move all game is not, at least, if I had all the controls of the game designer and all that, blah, 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 that's not the direction I would take it. If you've introduced a system of pre-measuring now, you need to introduce things that counter pre-measuring. And I hate to use this example, but it's a decent enough example. In Warhammer, when they introduced pre-measuring, they introduced random charge distances. Don't do that, but they introduced something to counteract the predictability of pre-measuring. What I would like to see more of is things like sidestep, things like vengeance, non-linear threat ranges, so that way you can't always pre-measure the exact threat.
Okay.
And having the cat house doesn't do that.
So
and in general, I'm opposed to 120 millimeter models anyway.
But yeah, you love Resnick.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I play them, but it's a terrible thing for the game.
So I think the bunkhouse will be interesting, depending on what the cost is, because I think if it's a lot of points, then I'm less excited about it. But if it's not a whole lot of points, but if it's just a interesting piece that's not a crazy amount of points and doesn't affect the game a whole lot, I think I'd be more curious about it, because it seems like it brings a recursion mechanic to Signar, a second recursion mechanic, specifically with trenchers.
I mean, I'd kind of look at the Siege Crawler that just came out of CID, where, it's not wrapped up yet and it's not finalized, but that one had a little Pez dispenser that shot out dwarves every turn.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So I mean, 15 points, armor 20, whatever, many boxes, structure rules, 4 or 5 rifles that can shoot each turn, and poops trenchers. Probably gives you cover if you stand behind it.
So ultimately a Land Raider.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like all Land Raiders, you got the tracks blown off turn 1, but that's, pretty much. And it's not, I don't know, it's just not a piece that excites me in the sense of how it interacts with the game and how it interacts on the table. And, I mean, my big gripe isn't, I think people are way overblowing the theme forces and all that crap. My big gripe is actually SR-17, which I'm concerned about how static that gameplay is. And now you're adding in these structures, which are also static models. And so that's the concern I have. I don't want static things.
So you're scared about like boring gameplay.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a reasonable thought. Now, what do you think that stuff like that's going to do for our topic, what is competitive?
Well, here's the thing. If you are playing this game to be competitive, then you will just adjust to whatever the hell it is. And the best example of that is Jay Larson or Tom Guan, in that they look at the scene and they buy the army that's the best. They buy the army that gives them the best chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay Larson was talking about Grimkin. And he's like, I wasn't really big on them, and then I played against Pagani, and he's like, now I'm big on them because I can see where it will give me a competitive advantage to have that army.
Interesting.
But most of us are not like that. Most of us, 1, don't have the money, and 2, are emotionally invested in a particular aesthetic or a particular backstory or some other aspect of whatever faction that we play. So now you're already narrowing down that whole scene of being purely competitive into, just within your own little grouping. But, I mean, as far as structures impacting the competitive game, if they're good, people will take them. And if people take them, then you'll bring a bunch of guns and kill it. And that'll be that. I mean, unless there's something about it that they surprise us with, it's an incredibly static model. And you're going to be able to pre-measure out 10 inches from its guns.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll know exactly its zone of control. You just take an incorporeal model, you pop it into contest whatever zone that is, and you play on the other side of the board. And that's, and I mean, that circles back to my original thing, which is it doesn't encourage a lot of movement. It doesn't encourage a lot of interaction, which is my complaint.
I think it's a valid complaint.
I mean, my complaint about huge bases is just they're too damn big.
Yeah.
Now make them 80 millimeter.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, right?
Actually, I was always surprised that they didn't go up to 80 millimeter. I thought that was going to be the next one. Just jump up to 120 is just crazy. I mean, I love the models. Like, I really love the way the Colossals look. I don't know.
I really love the idea of getting someone else to paint the Dracodile for me.
Yeah. Really love the fact
I mean, that's the thing, is that my complaint against the Colossals is that they're non-interactive, in that they can't be moved out of activation, they can't have all these extra special movement rules, you can't really disrupt them, they always have Pathfinder, they have all these exceptions to rules that decrease the amount that your opponent can interact with your models. They're freaking big and a pain in the ass to move around. and
travel with.
And travel with, yeah.
So, and I mean, I'm not saying don't play them. I've got a freaking Hyperion, I've got a Helios, I've got Meat Thresher, Sacrovault, Vessel Judgment, 2 Judicators, Red Pogresnik. I've got a lot of huge bases because when it's the right decision, it's the right decision. And I'm not letting my complaints about them impact my list building decisions, but these are the complaints that I have about them.
It makes sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
So, and I mean, that can also cycle into the what is competitive and that whole mindset that we started with this, because, you know, I like to come around full circle, which is competitive is that I'm not going to let my gripes about something impact whether or not it makes my list or not. If it is the correct choice for the situation that I'm building for, then it is the correct choice. If the theme fits what I want, if it has, you know, the red theme's got removed from tough and I'm playing against Devin and I want to metagame him for some reason, then that is the correct path for me to take, regardless of whether or not, you know, I'm a pro-theme person or anti-theme person.
Devin, you got any thoughts on this?
Say that again?
I said, you got any thoughts on this?
Last time we asked you, you just had silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, my baby was upstairs yelling, so I ran upstairs to find out what happened. No,
Is Misty okay?
No, she's not here.
That's
the actual baby. No, I mean, when it comes to like the competitive play and stuff, you know, I'm very much under the umbrella of, you know, whatever you feel is going to give you a strategic advantage, you know? Like, I like playing a lot of fun models that I enjoy painting, but it's like, as I said last week when we talked about, you know, things that have been holding me back is that, you know, one of the reasons I haven't been playing the game as much is while I might enjoy painting there for a while before I got heavily into running events, like I was playing in events and I was placing in events because, you know, I was looking at it in more of a competitive nature. And that's one of the things like that's kind of kept me from playing recently is that I started getting into just painting what I really enjoyed and then playing it and then getting my ass stomped. And if anybody's watched any of the games that I've played in, I take a lesson out of Kevin's book and I lose a lot. So...
Well, both you and him have the same issue where you keep leaving your caster in walking range of Scarith.
Yep,
in a game where you can pre-measure.
Yeah, so...
I feel like some hand smacking is in order.
Yeah, well, to be honest, that was actually the first time I'd ever played against Scarith, so...
And you enjoyed every moment of it.
Yeah, I think at that time I was like, fuck this. But, no, but now it's like, now that I'm getting back into trying to play instead of just running events, I'm starting to realize that a lot of the stuff that I have painted, you know, for fun and stuff isn't exactly competitive, you know, and competitive in the nature of I don't feel like I'm going to be able to go to an event and actually make a good showing. You know, it's going to be more or less I'm just going there to drop money at the store for no good reason.
I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that because, you know, you play Trollbloods, right?
Yeah.
You've painted a stone?
I stripped the stone.
Okay, well, you can't blame PP for you taking the core model of your faction and then you stripping the paint off of it.
I know.
So, and that one's been the core model for at least like a decade.
At least. Bare minimum.
So my recommendation would have been buy a second one and paint that and then strip this one because you always need two.
Yeah. Well, I have a Magic
sarcasm.
3. It's basically the same thing.
But, okay, so you're supposed to have that stone painted off. Let's just smack your hand again.
I will definitely tell you, though, that when I decided to strip the stone and everything when it got damaged, because it was one of the first models I had ever painted for Trolls, I will definitely say that it's been enjoyable for me to learn how to play Trolls without it. You know, like it's definitely made me look at other options defensively that weren't just the stone. So it wasn't like, oh, what's my defensive options? A stone. You know, like I can't think of any, but maybe one video on the channel that I've played the stone in. You know, because it got destroyed and then I decided to strip it and restart over. So I mean, it's definitely been challenging to learn. So
Magic 3, Horrigal 2, Doomshaper, whichever one 3, at least.
yeah,
Gunline casters, so you have Calandra Gunline, whatever the Bandicreel's Gunline is, so that would be, is it Gristle? Can play without it.
yeah, yeah. So I mean,
But anyways, like going back to your, like, do you have painted fire eaters?
no,
Really?
but that's what I'm saying.
You're like this huge special snowflake of models and beauty and butterflies, and you have these things that have like fire coming out of their, demon holes. How have you not bought and painted that? You're like, that's like so far up your alley that you should be in a Harry Potter movie.
I own two. I have two sets of them painted, and I have a third set in case the Northkin theme list ends up involving me being able to bring more fire eaters. But I wanted to learn how to paint fire better, so I actually painted Horrigal first, and after Nova I intend to paint all my fire eaters up because I'm taking a class on fire OSL.
Really?
If you'd like, you can bring them Sunday, and I will paint them for you that day.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Herman's great at painting. Throw that paint right on.
Oh my gosh. I just like to cake it so that way it's nice and thick. That's my way of priming so they don't chip.
And armor sheeting.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I do things that have armor and not faces. Okay, but you have a Mulg, you have a Mauler. I'm pretty sure you've got a Mountain King, a Glacier King.
Yep, and a Sea King.
Okay, but we're talking about competitive.
Exactly.
Oh!
Yeah.
Herman, didn't you just say play what you want in a competitive manner?
Yeah. You can certainly play a Sea King in a competitive manner, but...
You're not going to do too well.
That one needs to go back into the drawing board. No, I mean, let's see. His
It has a lot of
you
good...
can like drag shit, right?
Yeah, it has the 4-inch reach when it charges on its activation, but it's just too damn expensive.
All right, hang on. You want to fix a Sea King? Let me go pull up fucking War Room.
42 points is just way too much.
Don't talk to me about points. I don't care. Let's see. What's it called? Trollblood? War Beasts? Sea King. So speed 5. Looks like, what, a 4-inch reach?
Yeah, on his activation.
Change, yep. So that's what, 8 12-inch threats on, looks like a POW 20. So let's see, I think, where's he? Borka. So you can do plus 2 inches of movement, so that's a 14-inch threat. And then who else can do it? You can do better than that. Was it Doomshaper?
I think it's what's his name? Frick, not Jarl. The other one. Is it Jarl that has Quicken?
Jarl has Quicken. But I think you can do even better than Quicken. I just have to remember which Doomshaper it is. They all look alike.
Which spell are you looking for?
It's a
the one where they charge. It's Doomshaper 2 where they get the charge.
There you go, plus 3. So you can give this guy 15-inch short range on at least a POW 20, and you can throw, Rage on him or Wild Aggression on him. So with the stone he goes up to POW 21. So 15-inch threat, Wild Aggression you can charge for free, POW 21. So let's go back to Mr. Sea King. He's armor 19. He has some number of boxes. It looks like a lot. So 5 Fury. So if you're charging for free, you're getting 7 attacks. Your average jack, that's dice plus 2 on armor 19. So that'll take you, 9 damage per swing. So it's 1, 2, 3 will put you up at 27. So you may actually be able to kill 2 jacks in one go with Doomshaper and a Sea King. And then they have to deal with him being, armor 21 and whatever the hell the rest of your army is.
Or for the same amount, I could take 2 Maulers, be able to split up and go same POW. I lose a little bit on distance, but then I can benefit from goad.
Well, I'm just getting rid of goad here. The other reason why you would do something like that is because he has more health than a normal critter. So anything that buffs armor, anything that decreases damage, like again Horgle, whatever the other Doom Shaper was, things like that are more powerful on a gargantuan than on a heavy,
Right.
because of the number of boxes it has. So, it may not be that you go for threat range, it may be that you go for one of those other ones. But, there's your arguments for playing a Sea King competitively.
Right.
And then you can, buff up the Hakalugi thing to pull models to you, and being able to pull models to you even, a couple inches, because we're in the world of pre-measuring. If you can move a model an inch, it's a huge thing because everyone's parked at 10.01 inches out from you.
Yeah.
So now you have basically your freaking discount Helios for more expensive. Because trolls need to pay more, obviously.
Trolls do need to pay more.
But it's not the stone tax so much as the Signar tax, because they have to pay Signar for the land.
It's very true.
That's why actually Storm Division gets so many free models, because the trolls are paying the points for it.
Oh.
Ouch.
Ouch.
That's rough.
But there's a way that you just say, okay, I'm going to be competitive, and I'm going to take a Sea King, and I'm going to play trolls. And those are my three mindsets that I'm going into this list design with. How do I maximize the competitiveness of this particular model that I want to play? And then you set it up so that way, you're going to use your Hakalugi to take something out on its own. Then you're going to jam that motherfucker in there and, pop feet, and he's going to be armor, whatever. And people aren't going to be able to kill him. And then he'll, swing and smash, smash, smash. Boom, 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 boom. And then you just need to sit there and you need to be aware of what matchups you want to put it into, what matchups are a very bad idea to put it into. Getting rid of the grievous wounds affecting gargantuans was a huge help, particularly to trolls.
Yeah.
And particularly to that feat. Doom Shaper 3's feat in particular. So there are tons of ways. And doesn't Horgle 2 have a damage buff?
He does. If they're on fire, everything is boosted. So boosted to hit, boosted damage.
Okay, so now Jackass is definitely killing 3 Jacks. Or 2 Jacks in one go. And then you take Linissa for fun. So now he's got what was that? I guess that bumps him down to a 14-inch threat range with Horgle, because I don't think Horgle has a threat extender.
Well, you have War Room up.
I closed it because I'm too lazy. So it's booting. It'll take like 30 seconds. But I'm 90% sure that Horgle doesn't have a threat extender. And that's another reason why the Sea King meshes back into him, because he has a feat that the Sea King wants. He has a damage buff that the Sea King wants. And the Sea King brings him out of activation threat extension for your other heavies. So now you send in your other heavies first, you trade them up, and each time you trade a heavy, you are reducing the things that can actually handle the Sea King.
Yeah, the only thing I think that Horgle gives him is that he can charge things that are on fire for free.
Oh, so you don't even need Lenissus. You're still getting the frickin' 7 attacks.
Yeah.
So that's a great caster to throw him with.
Yeah.
Yeah, burn meat or whatever. And then he's got Evolvable Resolve, so now you're armor 23. Yeah, so I mean, I don't understand if that is the Venn diagram of intersections of things that you want to take with your list and play competitively, that is the mindset to which you approach it.
Yep.
In my opinion. And so then once you have, I want this interaction, this interaction, this interaction, go farming for a theme force to see if there's a theme force that gets you what you want. If there is, you take that. If there isn't, then you don't. And people going, oh my gosh, Oracle's placed 20 points up. And I think you guys talked about this last week. Tell me, what models is Oracle's taking that puts it 20 points up? Can you name them?
Mm-mm.
Crawford?
What?
Can you name the 20 points up that Oracle's takes that offends everybody?
I do not. I cannot.
It's 2 Forsakens and 2 of the Blight Witches, the little flying ones.
Really?
If your army is so weak that it can't handle an extra 2 Forsakens and an extra, whatever those ladies are called.
The Hellions.
Then, Hellions, thank you. There you go. I'm bad with names. I don't actually care about the names of anything in this game. If you can't like handle that with your non-theme force, then you might want to rethink your entire list strategy and structure. Because like I play non-themes all the damn time into themes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Jinkies, he has a free junior? What am I going to do? No, you kill it. It's a goddamn junior. It's a goddamn Forsaken.
But it's extra points that they wouldn't have had if they didn't play themes.
So? It's not that big a deal. There are themes that can become a bigger deal, but like Defenders of Ios, I would actually argue that you probably should not get a free Scarthisian because he's a Dragoon. And that is pushing it beyond the point of taking free support models or free single-use solos into something that is actually more than what a free model should be. But it's a freaking free UA. It's a freaking free, support solo. Yeah, Jake's is a pain in the ass, but she's easily killable. And you'd be dealing with her in the list if it wasn't even there, so, And usually when I'm dropping theme, it's for a very specific interaction that I feel makes the list more powerful. The example is Carver with the Gremlin Swarms. I want to have incorporeal models that I can quagmire you with that can, one, run through your whole army and screw you over, and two, you have significant issues dealing with, so I don't play Carver in theme. Arcadius, I want Scarith and Dahlia, so I don't play Arcadius in theme. I made a specific tactical strategic decision that I feel like gives me more advantages than my theme options do, and I am totally comfortable playing non-theme into theme.
I mean, and that's one of the things that comes from being somebody who wants to play competitively. Like you have to. It's not just about net listing something. It's about looking at what competitive advantage you have when going into whatever your tactical scenario is.
Yeah, and like I'm not a PP apologist in the sense of they can easily fuck up themes. I'm not afraid to be critical of their design team, when put it that way. I think I made it onto CID boards for like 2 days before I got an infraction.
Oh, that's good. You only got one infraction, though.
Well, I had to shut up for like a month.
Oh.
There could have been a lot more infractions. A lot more infractions. But you have to understand how these things fit together into what you're going to play it into.
So what about you, Tony? What about you into the competitive scene? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think you guys kind of summed it up personally. I said it before where, I feel like everything is, in a sense, everything you play is competitive. I mean, this game is built around fighting somebody else, even if you want to call it casual play. And you can be a casual player, but in essence, you're playing this game because you want to win. You want to have fun. And I don't think that having fun and being competitive are two mutually exclusive. So I think playing is competitive. I don't know. Like I said, the past 2 months, I haven't had as much experience with it, so I'm not as confident in my talking right now, my talking points.
Oh, that's why I invited me along, right?
Yep, exactly. Got a real-life person who plays games.
God forbid.
I know.
Well, I was giving Taudark a bunch of shit because he went to the game store Wednesday. I'm like, so did you talk or play? He's like, I talked. I'm like, come on.
He just did a podcast on it.
And he's also somewhat blind.
Not anymore. He's got 20/30.
Oh, did everything go through? Good. Never mind. I was thinking that he was still having issues there for a bit.
I mean, I can't speak to his current status, but to the best of my knowledge, his recovery's coming along great.
That's good.
Good. That makes me even happier.
Which also means no excuses.
I was gonna say because all his old excuses have been like, oh my god, I didn't even see that model there.
That's why I moved the trees in front of mine. You bastards keep putting down 2D terrain, so I can't rearrange the 3D terrain to hide my models.
Oh, so sad for you.
I was actually playing the game against Pokey that I think will go up in 2 weeks, maybe. And he hid a Blood Runner Tormentor behind the building on my side of the table. And I'm like, I wonder if he's going to forget that it's there all game. I was really hoping.
That'd be messed up.
No, he did into the start of, I think, my focus allocation. He's like, oh, I forgot that. I'm like, come on. You can do it. It's okay.
That's funny.
But and I mean that goes back to the theme thing too. How often do people forget solos exist?
Quite often.
It's not uncommon. How often do people put down an extra solo on the table? Because at least against me, it seems to be quite often.
Sometimes some people put a whole extra warjack down on the table.
Well, you see, the thing is when I did that to you, it was approved by War Room.
Whatever.
So PP was actually giving me a free avatar. I'd like to think as a reward for staying faithful.
And then look what you did. Then you abandoned them.
Well, they should learn. I'm a pretty mercenary guy.
All right, so I'm actually going to wrap this podcast up because my computer is still being strange.
That's fine.
And I'm not sure if it's going to shut off again or not. So, you guys got any last words?
I definitely want to say that I think we need to make, I think that one thing we've discussed before, and I think I just want to touch base on it real quick, is the fact that we keep bringing up all these names like Jay Larson, Tom Wan, and all these competitive players. And I know Kevin had asked at one point, what did we think about basically people, oogling and ogling their lists and basically, seeing general copycats of these lists. One thing I definitely wanted to say about that was that, you can, it doesn't always have to be a list played by one of these gentlemen that can be competitive, like just because somebody's not playing a specific model that's being played by, Mr. Jay Larson or Tom Wan or JVM, doesn't mean that maybe their list isn't competitive. Maybe they're just thinking in a different outlook or playing to different strengths that they feel. So I definitely want to let people, make it very clear that, you don't exactly have to play the net list in order to be competitive, but it is good to study sometimes why they're playing what they are, because they have a little bit more experience sometimes.
Well, and to tag on to that, it's if you don't know what you're doing, go to Discount Games and copy the damn lists. These are good lists. They're winning lists. They're proven lists. And they're things that you can just take, plop them on the table, and for the most part, you will have success with them. But don't be afraid to ever steal ideas from anywhere. Like we were on the Warmachine Hordes screwing around with they call it the Modcast Challenge, and someone told me to take Storm and Drang with pre-CID Meat Threshers, and I told him I was just going to take Ret instead. And he had thrown out the idea of taking Chimeras with Evuros. And my first gut reaction was like, okay, buddy, go pat on the head, go away. But then I looked at it again, and I looked at it a third time, and now there's a Chimera in my Evuros list because it turned out, one, that's a great idea. And two, when you look at it mathematically compared to the Griff, you're not really losing anything, but it also opened up Lock the Target for Evuros to cast on your opponents. And again, whenever this video comes out, that became a huge thing versus Makeda Jackhammer, whichever one that is. Makeda 1, probably, where he had a Hydra. And with the Hydra and Jackhammer with Makeda, you can just run that stupid thing, 14 inches, I think is its threat? No, 16. Because she throws Quicken on it, it runs, it's 14 inches, it's got 2-inch reach, and then she just hits it with Jackhammer 6 times. And it kills whatever it wants to within 16 inches. That's a huge threat range bubble. Well, because I had made that change because of that random comment, I had an Arc Node in my list. I ran up, I hit it with Lock the Target, and Bastard's not charging or running. So that just took away a huge advantage that he had over me because I stole an idea from a random source. Don't be afraid to do that and incorporate it into your lists.
And practice, practice, practice.
All right, guys. I think it's pretty good, so let's just end this then. I want to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Turn Extension.
And thanks for listening to me ramble.
Bye, everybody.